Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna make this string light system, as you can see on the screen right now. You will learn how to make the model, and you'll learn how to make the material, and you'll also learn how to make the geometry node system. Start by creating a new file. I'll delete everything you see and add in a cylinder. I'll drag over this view to add in my reference picture. Start by adding a cylinder and making it 8 vertices. Go into edit mode and scale it down. Choose the face select mode and extrude the face and scale it inwards. Now rotate it 22.5 degrees on the Z-axis. I'll scale it up a bit and then extrude it down. Now we want one extra vertice so we get the circle-like figure. So I'll subdivide it and then I'll extrude it down. I'll make a loop cut, set it in the middle and drag it all the way up. Then choose face select mode, Alt Shift and select the ring around. Then I'll scale it up a bit, only on the X and Y axis. So to exclude the Z axis, press Shift C, and then you can scale it like this. Now go around and choose every other line, scale it up, excluding the Z axis, like this. Now we'll add a bevel modifier, and on top of that we'll add a subdivision surface modifier. I'll shade to smooth, and then you have this. I will press G and C to make this part longer. Then I'll press E, left click and scale it up. Then I'll press E to scale it down, maybe a bit further, like this. And then I'll press I to insert the face, and I'll delete that face. We want to have a more rounded shape here, so I'm going to my bevel modifier and choosing weight. And then I'm choosing all the edges I wanted to have beveled. Then going into the side panel, I'll choose mean bevel rate. And then you will have a result like this. I'll add a loop cut to make it less aggressive, and then you have a more rounded shape. I'll also add the bevel to this ring, so we have a sharper edge. Now we need the top part to be made. Going into edit mode, inserting this face and scaling it, extruding it out. Inserting this face and extruding it out. Press Shift S, cursor to select it, and add a torus. Rotate the torus by the y-axis and scale it down so it matches the picture roughly. Then I will choose the ring around and press S, Shift C and scale it so it's inside the torus. And then I'll take the top face and put it inside as well. Now we'll add a sphere for the light bulb. So go into edit mode again, add a UV sphere. Then we need to make these segments match our model. So that would be 16. And I'll just make this small as well. Then I'll move it down and scale it up, pressing B to select and then selecting the top of the sphere, pressing X to delete and faces. Then we want our sphere and our top part of the model to be bridged. I'll select this loop around and I'll select my inner loop, pressing F3, just searching bridge edge loops and selecting the bottom part and moving it up so we have a shape which is looking nice. And that is the geometry for our light bulb. We also want the wire part, so a simple way to make that is to rotate it 22.5 degrees so our faces is alongside our axis. And then I have forgot to make these bevel, so I'll just make them bevel. Then you can select a face on each side, insert with I, make sure it's squared. I think this is a square. Then I'll press E and S, XY, and then you'll have this. In the next part, we'll focus on the geometry node system. We'll start by moving your object to a separate collection. So pressing M, I'll name the collection bulb, and then I'll hide it. Now we'll add a curve, and on that curve, we'll add a geometry node system. The first thing we are going to make is to make the wire figure. So, to make our wire fig, we'll need to add a curved circle. And also we need a curve to mesh. So by adding a curve to mesh, you'll make the circle the profile for the curve. And then you can scale down the radius to make it thinner or thicker as you need. Then we'll add a set material node, place it in between, and adding a new material, I'll call it wire, and selecting wire in here. Okay, now we'll make all the light bulbs in a way along our curve. And to do that, we'll need a curve to points. Plug the geometry into curve and points into geometry, and you can see a bunch of points along the geometry. I'll make not as many. Then we'll need to instance our light bulb on each point. So instance on points, like this. But right now it has nothing to instance. So we'll drag our light bulb system in here and use it as an instance. And already you can see all the light bulbs being placed, but they are way too big. So what you can do is scale them down in this value, and you can see they're scaling down. But right now our light bulbs are not facing the right direction, so I'll just rotate them by 90 degrees along the Z-axis, but it's still not following the curve. How do we fix that? We are going to need a align to Euler to vector, it's what it's called. And we'll plug that into the rotation. And then we are going to use our tangent as the vector and our rotation as the rotation. And now you're able to see that they are following the curve, but right now we have no curve. So to add in the curve, we're going to add a joint geometry. We're going to add a joint geometry and plug them in. And now you're able to see both our systems. But we want our light bulbs to be rotated the right orientation. So we're going to add a transform node in between our collection and our instance on points. And then we're going to rotate our C by 90 degrees. And now it's following the curve. So if we change the curve, it will follow along. Right now we're choosing how many light bulbs we want in total on our chain. But we want to have a fixed length between light bulbs. So we're going to change this value to length. And I'll choose 1 meter for now. And you're able to see it coming together right now. And that's basically our system. You can change your radius to make the wire thinner so it fits the connector, like this maybe. But if you don't want to change your values all the time, so let's say you want to scale up your light bulbs, then you also have to scale up your radius. But if you don't want that, I'll show you a quick way to fix it. So we'll need the value of our radius, so I'll plug it into our group input. And then we also need to make that value the same value as our scaling. So I'll plug it into our scale. But right now it's looking ridiculous. So we want to use a math node. If you use my proportions, dividing by 5 should be the perfect value for your sockets. So if I scale up the radius inside our value here, let's make it 0.1 maybe, you're able to see that the wire is following along. So I'll just choose our material editor over here, and then I'll zoom in on a light bulb. And I'll also go into material view. So first of all, we need to add a material called light, and we're going to add that material to the bottom of the light bulb. So in wireframe view, I'll select all the faces at the bottom and choose light. We need to add a base material first. First of all, we need to make a base material, and then we can assign our light material. Going into shading viewport, and you're able to see nothing. But if you change this color, it's applied to all of it. So if you press Ctrl I and assign our base color, you're able to see it change again. Right now we have our light in the bottom. I will change this to base as well, because I think it looks nice to have a little rim around. So that's our material. I'll just make this dark and maybe more glossy, darker I think. So we have a plastic looking texture. That's not the important part. The important part is our light material. So it's a really simple material if you know what you're doing. So we're going to make our edge lighter and we're going to make our edge darker and more glossy and the center more lit up. So we'll start by adding an RGB node, this node, and we're going to add it to an emission value, plugging that into the surface, and you're already able to see it light up. I'll change the strength to something like 50, and then we'll add a mix shader. And then we need to make an input for the factor, so we can choose our light source to be in the center of our material. So I'll add a layer rate node to make it in the middle, and the color ramp should reveal our edge. So already you can see that we can move our light into the middle of our circle which is really nice. So it's mixing our emission with the shader we are going to make right now. This is going to be a glossy shader because glass is hard for the computer to calculate, but the glossy shader is not that difficult, and you're not going to render it that close up, so this would really look nice. Already you are seeing the potential of this. We are going to use the same color, and I'll turn the roughness way down, and that's essentially it. But I'm going to change our color ramp so it looks more like what we want. So first of all, you need to turn them around, and then you need to make a middle point which is controlling like where is the light source mostly valued. So I like it to be a bit bigger, and then the black should be not black, but like just a tad gray, so we don't have like a sharp edge. I'll make the color not green, but like a tinted yellow. If you want more control over it, you can add a hue saturation node and put in between. And then if you turn up the value, you can get some interesting. Maybe you want the saturation to be changed. You can also change your hue in here. So yeah, that is interesting. If you add an object info node and picking random to the hue, you can get a different colored light chain, and that's really awesome. Thank you for watching. I really hope you liked it. If you did, please consider subscribing. And what should I do next? Please tell me. I'm really curious to know what you think, and it will help me a lot if you leave some feedback down below. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.